The flat Earth is to explain that this is a holographic light matrix. That this we are living in a simulation right now.
I do not find any biblical support for a flat Earth or necessity for it.
It's going to be a test to see exactly how far are you sucked into the world that they've created for us as a prison.
I have a lot of friends around the world and a lot of experiments that I've researched that make it pretty clear in an Occam's razor approach that the Earth is certainly round.
Beautiful. Let's go. How you doing? Peace to the gods. My name is Shamvoy The Shaman. This is going to be quite an interesting conversation because when it was brought to me, uh, me as a scientist, somebody who wants to be proven wrong first to evolve, to grow. You feel me? First and foremost, going into every situation. Um, I started, of course, as the globe is round. Definitely, absolutely. Um, but the more you dig into all of the indiscrepancies, you feel me? As soon as you dig into everything that doesn't necessarily fit together, and you see the people that are making this try to fit, it brings you to a new position of what the Matrix really is. You feel me? It makes fiction stranger, the truth stranger than fiction. You know. And so me as a shaman coming into that spiritual journey and being awakened about from who I used to be here, connecting with the information now, it's definitely brought me here to face you, George. And I seen your Jubilee videos. You are amazing. And one thing I do have to say about you is that I actually do have hope for you. I really do, because it comes with the if you have the mind to want to evolve, to want to grow, to want to like look for the actual truth. Honestly, we can have an easy conversation, a great conversation. We both can learn something. Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is George Woolridge, and over the years, I've spent a lot of time over the last decade looking into a lot of subjects regarding science, sociology, the Bible, and I'm guided by Rene Descartes, who said, um, "I think, therefore I am." But the second half of that is, I doubt, therefore I am. So I certainly hold a lot of minority views on theoretical physics and the Bible. And I take scientific rigor very seriously. But all that being said, clearly a spherical view of the Earth is the most accurate one from everything that I've personally seen.
How y'all doing? Shamvoy the Shaman here, right? And we're gonna break this down like this. Okay. What this is gonna be is this is going to be an assessment of your spiritual cognizance, right? It's going to be a test to see exactly how far are you sucked into the world that they've created for us as a prison, right? God doesn't dwell in deception, right? This is God's, of course, creation where God emanates as everything inside of everything. But the world is ruled by evil right now, as we can all very well see, people at the top of the world, right? What I'm going to be doing today is, while George is most likely, I'm not sure, going to be telling me the science and explaining to me the reasoning of why the facts, right, of why this is what it is. I'm going to be shedding light on why we've even come to think that it is what it is. Who is telling us that why it is this way? You know, who are the people who's giving us this information and why? What is it? Who seeks to gain from what? What is the purpose of this? And our backgrounds are actually a perfect picture of it, right? To be able to make this very easy. We have the technocratic new age AI that is coming out that we're trying to build our own gods, right? Of course. And then we have the shamans of old connected with the divine and the divinity. It's a clear battle that has been going on since probably the beginning of time. Light versus dark, heaven versus hell, right? And in that, there's an inversion that must happen. There has to be a system of control that creates clones and agent Smiths, if you will, to be able to to continue to protect the system at B. Right, power is what they're after. This is a system of siphoning, and the more they can take away your power and strip your power away, right, make you think everything is random, make you think that this is all just by chance, right? Make you fear death because there can't be a reincarnation. Your soul doesn't exist. You feel me? They want you to separate from God, right? And move into what you can see, the materialistic instead of the spiritual. That has been the plan, right? And we even move from where we're at now to we said, okay, God is dead with the Nietzschean philosophy and bringing it into bringing the actual science into philosophy now. And being able to completely warp the way people think by just seeing us as floating on this random ball of rock, right? It takes away the how special you are. It takes away the mysticism, the importance of you to say this just happened by random chance, that you came from a monkey and you just sprung up, and that it could be what it could be and could be, right?
It's steal from you, but I think you're only half right where I'm going to come from, because I do want to discuss the merits of the topic, but I want to discuss the merits of the topic from what you consider authoritative sources of information. So I appreciate your position, but I want to know, in particular, what do you consider authoritative sources of information that we may both agree on, or we may both find in common? Can you comment on that?
Absolutely. I like where you going with this. I knew we was gonna have a great conversation. I knew it. Right. They was trying to get you out of the box in that last Jubilee video because you was too open. But that was interesting. The conversation I had with Queen earlier today, right? Because we was going over the same thing, studying my boy Professor Zhang, breaking it down amazing. I hope you study my boy too. He's an amazing professor. And he kind of like, and when you hear, that's a perfect way to answer your question. When the smart people say it, say like, oh wait, okay, they're wait. When they start to study quantum physics, be like, hold on, wait, God might just exist, you guys. Hold on, the particles react when we're with the observer. You feel me? The reality collapse around us in our observation. You feel me? As having that. So it's like the power that you possess creates your own reality. You feel me? So hold on, wait. There may be something to this, you guys. Wait, hold on. Our atoms are whole universes, and so Jang, right, just now said, right, just to quote him a little bit, that the people that have been giving us this information, what you will call authoritative, have used their ability to have what the scientific method and all of these reasonings in this high level complicated science that the layman doesn't understand, to be able to say, trust me, bro. You feel me? So when you talk about authoritative, I think NASA at first, that's supposed to be the number one. These are the people that we can trust, and they have been lying to us every single.
I'm sorry. I don't want you to burn all your time discussing the counters. I'm just looking for your positives. To be clear, I've spent about the last 10 years researching and studying about 7 chapters of Genesis. So I'm very, very invested in what the words are and what the meanings are of a biblical text. So I don't think you should really assume where I'm coming from. I just want to know on the positives what you consider to be important, or documents that we might share, that we might consider in common to have a weight in the discussion.
So with that being the case, and yes, I would say the Bible being one of them. But me, I'm not a religious person. I understand that religion is allegory. It's coded myth, specifically the same way that the Hopi Native American tribes used to specifically encode the high level cosmology into like things they believe in. So every culture has something that you can like take from the Bhagavad Gita. You feel me? The Bible, yes. The Quran. You feel me? Definitely and they all break down cosmology in allegory, in ways that you can understand if you understand. So of course there's truth in there, there's authority in there, but we also understand the programming and what it was made for. You know, it's yin and yang. It's both. And being able to use your discernment inside to also understand where is this going. The conversation I had before I pass it up real quick earlier is that there's the alpha, infinity, and omega, right? The one, infinity, two, the masculine, and feminine, masculine, right? And the inside could be amazing. This could be this could be a sandwich, right? With all love and beauty and everlasting life in between, with poison, right? In between the breads. So the poison of these different like texts is the system to be able to like control you. But back then, they all had a flat Earth model for the most part. They all had a stationary fixed Earth, right, where the sun and the moon rotated around us. It's so we are one of the only civilizations who popped up and decided that no, that all of that isn't true, and we're coming out with this new materialistic, emergent type of way of understanding society in the world.
So, so by your understanding, at what point did we start looking at a sphere cosmology for the Earth?
Now, that's an interesting question, right? Because when I was just on a Jubilee with my mans, they I forgot my guy's name. I gotta remember to give it to y'all in the comments. But he was talking about the spherical Earth model coming as a form of imperialism, right? And a conquering of the world and a shutting off of what we actually knew. Because again, our people didn't speak of that. Our people use cosmology and myth to basically explain, right, the Geb and the Nude, right, the top, the skies, the firmament holding us in, and the Geb, the earth, the surrounding culture. These same great civilizations that made Angkor Wat, that made the Great Pyramids. You feel me? That did these crazy technological high level things that we can barely explain now. You know?
I was actually hoping that you would have a more specific thing. I'm not religious at all. However, I don't consider the Bible to be allegory. I do consider it to be quite literal, and the harder I look, the more it literally speaks back. Um, but I've also found that that's incredibly frustrating because almost everything that you said about round Earth conspiracy, I would say about religious religious misrepresentation of the Bible. For example, you mentioned the word once, firmament. Uh, that term does not exist in Genesis, but it was added by the Romans when they made a Latin translation of the Bible, because they borrowed the concept of the firmament from Greek religion. That has absolutely nothing to do with Genesis and is actually not even a good translation of the word that belongs there. So the word expanse is a better fit, but conceptually, the word that is there means to stretch out thin. So basically, take something that's there and drag it apart or smash it apart or stretch it into a way that there's a thin portion made out of what was once thick or homogeneous. And I'd hate to say it, but that's exactly what the cosmological model is of the beginning of the universe. And I don't say I fully agree with everything in Big Bang, but that cosmological model is a homogeneous universe in which the materials stretched out into higher density packets, and that is frankly the only rationale for that term in Genesis, because there are many other terms that mean hard ceiling or open space. And God didn't call it a hard ceiling. He didn't call it an open space. He called it a stretch. It literally is the stretch is what the Hebrew term translates into. So I believe, I don't believe, I know that, I know that grammatically and grammatically, any concept of space being anything but a stretched out or vacuous region is not biblical, which I think people would find very surprising.
Now, is that to say that you're? I don't believe that's to say that space doesn't exist, right? Now, me as a me, what you would even call a flat earther, right? I wouldn't even say that, because again, the model is ever evolving, right? The flat Earth is to explain that this is a holographic light matrix, that this we are living in a simulation right now, right? Which science is coming more and more and more and more to prove every day and each day. So I don't bog myself down too much in like the specific allegory of like the biblical framework, right? I see the strings that connect everything. You know, that's the difference. That's the difference in the balance. And I understand, of course, that in my mind, how I would see it is that the fixed surface that we're on, the firmament that is created is only created because of the different polarities of the energies. You understand that is actually emanating and beaming this world. The sunlight is the only way we even exist and get to like visualize and perceive this world. So in my mind, in my framework, as the shaman, with my understanding, what I've come to is that there's a masculine and a feminine force constantly at work in the reality, a push and a pull, you know, right? As above, so below. And the sun is that projective masculine force, which beams and emanates us here from the light that we're even able to visualize, creating our realities. And the moon is the feminine sucking the negative force, right? That actually has the power of the reincarnation. You understand?
Uh, Actually, that's a topic of dualities is a topic that I've come across. I've written about myself several times, tried to analyze certain dualities. The thing is I think there are. I don't think really there's very many authentic dualities in nature, even in science. To give you an example, is my left hand the opposite of my right hand? Or is it the same hand just oriented differently? They're not opposites, they're the same, they're just slightly different. Or to give you another example, is there's the whole idea of matter and antimatter, which is a bit of a it's a bit of not necessarily a great name, because they both exist, and if you combine them, you don't get zero. You don't have plus matter and minus matter and you get zero. You take the plus minor and antimatter, and when you combine them, they release the equivalent energy of both of those matters. So they're both positive matter, but when you combine them, there's more matter. Well, what's the opposite of matter? There is no opposite of matter. You simply have it or you don't have it. It's a matter of addition. There's no subtraction. Or even in other concepts like happiness. Happiness, you can't guarantee happiness. Like you give a kid a video game day one, he might be happy, but day two he might be bored of it. There's no guarantee that video game will continue as happiness, or that new video game will continue happiness. Happiness is an indeterminate state that you can only strive to provide or set up the possibility of, but you can't guarantee it'll happen. But sadness, it's almost guaranteed. I'm pretty sure you stick a knife in someone's leg, you will make them unhappy. but you can't guarantee that not sticking him in the leg will make him happy. So there's not a duality in happiness. Sadness and happiness aren't opposites. Sadness is a fixed state, and happiness is a more of a quantum state that you're trying to find where your happiness will where your happy eigenstate is. So I actually don't believe in simple dualities almost anywhere. I don't think they really exist. The concept of yin and yang with you have where you might have what seemingly opposing forces or opposing behaviors is balanced by the dot in the middle of each yin and yang, where they're really the same thing, even if they're concentrated in different angles. But they're not opposites; they're complements. And so I think that's I don't believe in the duality aspect at all. I don't see it.
I had to end you right there on 222. You know, I had to get it real quick for the people on time, Ellie, so I can get y'all blessings. So you're a smart man. You understand the hermetic principles. You understand that everything in life is engendered, right? So when we're talking about opposites, and we're talking about masculine and feminine. One thing that I've come to learn in my studies, right, one of the downloads that I've been given to God, by God, thank you, is that God is perfect, right? Every atom you have is God. Only perfections get to emanate here in this reality. Understand what I'm saying? Right? If it is not right, that's why as if we can break this down in ancient and Nubian theology, right, in cosmology and theurgy, about how the Neteru, right, are separated and emanated into different engendered principles.
I want to save you some time so that you can respond. But I just want to make a quick statement. If God is omniscient, then how come choice, or how come things exist, or even in religious writing, regardless of the religion, why is it that humans do things that surprise them, or that they have to fix, or why do they even have lessons for us if everything we're going to do is already known? The reason why God can know everything, but we can still surprise him, is because now is the only time that exists. And inherently in quantum mechanics, you can't know, you can predict the possibilities. You can know the amplitudes of options, but you never can know which one will happen. And that's a scientific fact. But that translates into that pairs perfectly with the Bible, because multiple times we're given choice, but we actually have authentic choice, because God doesn't know which one we'll choose, and he always gives a choice. You can go this way or that way. I'll tell you what will happen, but you have the choice. And it's an interesting setup, because a perfect God will allow us to be imperfect. So no, we are not inherently perfect. It's because we're not inherently perfect. We're given the opportunity to be imperfect by quantum mechanics.
And that right there is the crux of it. I'll be quick with this, right? As you very well know, there's a distinct separation, right, between the different versions of God that exist, but a connection at the same time. It's yin and yang, the masculine and the feminine. In the masculine, we are separate from the Almighty Creator that is omniscient, right? The only reason we exist is because we have to make mistakes here. In the higher dimensions, in the fifth dimension, there is really no need for mistakes, no room, because it's peace, it's love, it's the highest vibration that you can ascend and reach there. So we emanate downward as these versions of God through the second manifestation of God, which is karma, the plan to be the third version of God that can experience, can mistake, can have these faults, which makes it almost insane to think that we wouldn't reincarnate, which is what the people who are telling you we live on a globe, earth, ball this life believe in.
And thank you, Shamvoy. In my remaining time, I just would like to say, repeat. Well, I mentioned that I do not find, in very strong study on it, I do not find any biblical support for a flat Earth or a necessity for it. And that I have a lot of friends around the world and a lot of experiments that I've researched that make it pretty clear in an Occam's razor approach that the Earth is certainly round or spherical.